Back to school, or as it's known here in France, la rentrée. You see it all over the place at this time of year. Although when seen in isolation, it translates literally to the re-entrance, it's almost exclusively used to talk about schools reopening and classes starting again, either to start a new year or after a particular break in the schedule. But I want to take this opportunity to get some of you mentally prepared to get back into French practicing mode, because we all know that we're all a bit conditioned to take it easier over the summer. So in today's video, I'm going to go through with you a list of key language from the language learning world. No, I'm not going to talk to you about how to say pen and pencil case, just a list of real actionable French that you can use within the context of courses and learning. Well, I'm really happy to have teamed up with italki.com to bring you the boost that you need, because it's the main reason why I reached the level in speaking and writing that I have today. Alors, italki is a website where you can go and find teachers or tutors to give you the speaking practice that you need online from wherever you find most comfortable. It's often cheaper to take lessons online with italki than in person because there's no travel involved for either you or the teacher. And because it's one-on-one and really flexible, you can take the time to find the right teacher and learn as efficiently as possible. Now, as some of you know, I'm a huge advocate of goal setting in the language learning process. Well, italki are running a language learning challenge throughout the month of October. Not to mention, you'll also get $10 free to spend on italki.com when you sign up and make an initial purchase, which will go towards rewards and badges throughout the challenge. So for more info and to sign up for the italki language challenge to make sure you're ready for la rentrée and the months ahead, go ahead and click on the special link down in the description below. One of the things that's indispensable to any language learner, be it in a language school or a self-studier for whom it's perhaps even more important, is a schedule. Well, there are four main terms that I've heard that the French use for schedule or planner or calendar. There's three right there just in English. The French use un agenda, an agenda, un calendrier, a calendar, un emploi du temps, and un planning. Now these are more or less interchangeable, and when you're still getting used to them, because believe me, even though it's just four terms, when they're so closely related, they can, and I'm sure you already know, they can still get confused in your head and you're not really 100% confident each time you use one of them. So just think of them as more or less interchangeable, and you'll get used to the specific uses and contexts in which to use them as you progress and you speak to more natives. And just to illustrate you a few real-world examples of how these are used, you can see here on my italki homepage, if I hover over here to see the menu, you see that they show the word calendrier, and if I click it, it shows me an overview of the calendar, so therefore it fits as the catch-all term for calendar and schedule. And if there were lessons planned here, you would see them here, so it would both be schedule and calendar. Hopping over to the Google Calendar, in French they use agenda. So yeah, again, another one of the four terms here, just used exactly like it is used on italki, but a different term. And here on EDF, the electricity provider, I see the calendrier de paiement. The calendrier de paiement, which is the schedule of payment that I'm going to have to make to pay for my electricity every month. And a quick look on Amazon.fr for the keyword planning. It shows us both diaries, books for calendars, schedules, and wall maps here that you'd imagine for any other regular form of calendar that we'd use in English. So you can see they're all very interchangeable like this. But en gros, me personally, I found that un emploi du temps et un planning ont le même sens, plus ou moins. They really do mean a schedule, a schedule. So those are the two that I use primarily for a schedule. Un emploi du temps, literally an employment of time, and un planning, although less obvious because the French show yet again that they misuse our ing form of words as nouns in French. Both mean a schedule. En tout cas, using a schedule, as I said, especially more important if you're a self-studier, helps you keep yourself accountable. Now, one way this can come in handy is by planning your things in advance, because it means that you're less likely to ditch them for something else that seems more interesting in the moment. If you schedule your lessons in advance, you see them coming in your calendar and you know you're going to plan around them rather than cancel them for something else that life throws up. One way that italki makes this super easy is that you can sync it up with your Google Calendar or your iCal, and you can see it there. You can see your lessons there immediately as soon as you book them through the website. So that's really, really handy. Se mettre à, or se remettre à is a verb, or are two verbs I briefly mentioned in other videos, and they mean roughly to start something. But in this context of la rentrée, or getting back to school, getting seriously back into something, I really find that its more specific meaning is the one we want to look at here. So I translate it best to knuckle down to something, to get down to something, to commit to something. In the scope of this video, we know that that thing is l'apprentissage de la langue française. So, je me mets à l'apprentissage de la langue française. But what's more relevant to you guys, because I know you're already French learners and you've been practicing already, you would say, je me remets à l'apprentissage de la langue française. I'm getting back into it. I'm knuckling down again. I'm going to commit to it again after a summer where I've taken it a bit easier. I often use the two words à fond with se mettre à and se remettre à to really emphasize and to really stress the fact that I'm going to knuckle down and I'm going to work hard in it. I'm going to stick to it until I'm done. Of course, in this case, you're never really done with French, but it really emphasizes how much you care about it and how determined you are to succeed. So I can say, je me remets à fond à l'apprentissage de la langue française, or as we know in the context, what the thing is that we're going to knuckle down to, I would replace all of that by Y or Y and say je m'y remets à fond. Je m'y remets à fond. So that is something which is a really great way of getting yourself into the mental headspace you need to get into the habit of speaking and practicing French. Reprendre is a verb that's really easy to explain and to look up, but in this context it's used quite a lot, so I wanted to cover it anyway. Reprendre means to resume, so we may see something like les cours reprennent ce mois-ci. Les cours reprennent ce mois-ci, and ce mois-ci is this month. Courses or classes resume this month. Now I know what you're thinking, ce mois is this month. No, ce mois. Well, yes, it is, but in regular French, how the natives actually use it, if they're talking about the month that they're in right now, then they go even more specific with it and they use si at the end. It comes from ici, as we've seen in a previous video for ici and là. Ici means here grammatically and là means there. So if you want to be super specific, you say si, ce mois-ci, for this month. Prof. Prof. Now, some of you may not know that this is the abbreviation of professeur, or the French word for teacher. And another thing you may not know is that it is so widely used. It's not just the kids that use it, it's people of all ages because it's shorter and more to the point. Prof. I'm not here to tell you to use it over professeur because they're both very valid. I'm just here to tell you don't be afraid to use it because it's so widely used, and I would be remiss in my duties here as someone telling you all about the everyday French if I didn't tell you how common it is to abbreviate professeur to prof. You can use it for either masculine or feminine teachers. You would say mon prof or ma prof. That goes without saying, but really say whatever you want. Just be aware that it is informal, so use your best judgment when you use it. Now, as I am a huge fan of the self-study method, all the classes that I take and have taken are private classes. Well, in French, you don't say cours privé, although that would be an accepted way of saying it. The way you hear it most often is cours particulier. Cours particulier. And this is interesting because particulier translates to particular, a particular course. I suppose we can logic that out by saying that it's a particular course, therefore it's specific for one person, therefore a private class. I don't know if I'm going down the right track there, but anyway, that's how I think of it. Cours particulier. This is just a better way and a more French way, in my opinion, of saying cours privé. It doesn't matter if they're one-on-one or group classes. You have cours particulier individuel et cours particulier en groupe, in group. Now, using the last thing on the list, which was prof, a private teacher is also un prof ou un professeur particulier, or une prof particulière if it's a female teacher. Now, the French word cours looks like the English word course, and yes, indeed, it can mean a course that runs throughout a whole term or a semester, but it also means an individual class or a lesson, and we also have the word une leçon, but cours is more widely used, so that's why we talk about cours particulier, and this is the main one I wanted to draw your attention to today. Deux phrases dont tu as besoin pendant une leçon. Now, I've saved these two phrases till the end because even though for some of you saying these in French has become second nature, there is still a lot of you for whom it's second nature to say them in English, and that is not a good thing if you want to ever become a competent francophone. It's a bad habit to keep and to still have around. Wow, I sound like a really strict teacher now. Bref, these two phrases are qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire, which is the more classroom friendly one, or the more informal one is ça veut dire quoi? Ça veut dire quoi? Which means what does this mean? And then you follow up with the French word. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Then the French word. It means what does it mean? And the second one is comment dit-on? Comment dit-on? And then the word in English. Get used to saying these two in French because let's face it, be honest, you use these every single day. And I've been here for 4 years and I still use them tout le temps. But a lot of us stick with the habit of asking these in English because we don't know how to say them in French and we've never even thought about asking these in French. Go up to the next level and say them in French. Voilà, c'est fini. If you enjoyed this video and if you feel ready to t'y mettre à fond, then click on that like button down below. Si tu n'es pas encore abonné, clique sur le grand bouton rouge en dessous de la vidéo. Don't forget you can get an exclusive video of 12 nuggets of indispensable French language that is used every single day, in which I go over each one in more detail than I would in a regular YouTube video. Head over to my website via the link down in the description below. But until next time, merci beaucoup d'avoir regardé. Je te souhaite un bon septembre et une bonne rentrée. À la prochaine. Ciao.